Yes, it's follow the flag principle.
Lep pozdrav vsem skupaj. Začenjamo s tiskovno konferenco po srečanju zunanjih ministrov skupine C5. Good afternoon, everybody. We are about to start with the press conference following the fifth informal meeting of the foreign ministers of the Central Five initiative. Slovenian Foreign Minister Logar will make a few introductory remarks, as it is custom, and then we will have in alphabetical order all the other foreign ministers to make their introductory remarks. We will take, of course, questions and answers following the introductory remarks of the ministers. Please, Minister Logar.
Hvala. Najprej iskrena dobrodošlica vsem štirim kolegom ministrov skupine C5 v prostorih Kongresnega centra Brdo pri Kranju, kjer bo čez približno pol leta začelo, oziroma manj čez dobre 4 mesece, začelo potekati predsedovanje Slovenije Svetu Evropske unije in se že veselim sodelovanja na tej ravni tudi v prihodnje. Now let's switch to English. Today we met for the fourth time, second time in Slovenia, and I'm really glad to host you here. We are just before Slovenian EU presidency, and today's meeting was an excellent opportunity to share our views, our priorities of the Slovenian EU presidency in order to coordinate the important issue that will be on the agenda of European Union within the club of Central European countries, which in a way unites us by the definition and as well by our historical ties. So for that reason, today I thoroughly presented presidency priorities. We as well discussed issues regarding COVID situation in each particular country. There is still severe situation in many of countries, especially countries here included. And we reiterate the call for our fellow citizens to respect all the confinement measures and all rules in order to overcome this issue. I offered help of Slovenian health system to the most affected countries, namely Slovakia and Czech Republic. And I must admit that within the group C5 we showed great solidarity. Whenever there was a country in need, all 4 other countries stepped in and helped its assistant. Related to COVID issue, there's as well very important question of the vaccination strategy. So we had a quite lengthy discussion on this issue, and we will, I guess, discuss it during lunchtime that follows this press conference. As well, there was one focus where the 5 countries are more or less on the same side. The issue of new migration and asylum directive, where all here present ministers are as well the representative of the country that co-signed the letter in what direction we think that European Union should go in drafting the new directive. And as well the question of the strategic importance of the country of the Western Balkans. And we as well agreed in order to work hand in hand in this topic during the year 2021, especially during Slovenian EU presidency. That's from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. Minister Schallenberg, please.
Yeah, dear Antje, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's good to be back. It's my 3rd visit to Slovenia in a couple of months, and it's our 4th meeting of the Central Five. And I'm extremely thankful for this initiative and for your hospitality. We all know that the last 12 months have been an involuntary roller coaster ride for all of us. And we are aware that 2021 promises to be a very challenging year as well. The situation with COVID-19 remains serious, and the mutations represent a very serious risk to all of us. So close cooperation among neighbors, as Foreign Minister already mentioned it, remains essential in Central Europe. And we have only seen the tip of the iceberg as far as the socio-economic consequences of this pandemic is concerned. So it will be important and will remain important that we continue to work closely with each other and to coordinate. And I'm fully aware that Slovenia is taking over the presidency of the European Union in a very challenging moment. And I wanted to express here that you can count on our full support during these 6 months. We are all aware that the fight against the virus continues, and from Austrian perspective, main issues are testing. We are testing about 2.5 million people in Austria a week. We believe that the European medical agency should speed up the procedures as far as possible for the approval of new vaccines. And we believe that we have to work on a perspective for the future. And I'm very happy, we're very happy in Austria that we have a debate now in the European Union after the video conference of the heads of state and government of a EU Green Pass. That is a health certificate, a health passport, depends on how you want to call it. And I'm happy to hear that the President of the Commission, von der Leyen, announced today that they will put forward concrete proposals in March on this issue. We have to make sure that this could be our ticket back to normality during the summertime, once we have vaccination going in this continent. And I believe that we should use this possibility of digitalization, we should use this possibility of creating an entry ticket to a normal life again. And I can announce that the Austrian Chancellor, together with the Prime Minister of Denmark, will visit Israel this Thursday, because this is one of the front runners as far as this Green Pass is concerned, and to get the first-hand information on the ground. Secondly, second point, Western Balkans. Here the expectations are very high on the Slovenian presidency, and we know that we're in the best of hands as far as this is concerned. I believe we have a common goal. 2021 should not again be a lost year for the Western Balkans. And I believe all of us here on the podium agree that we will put our forces together, support you in this endeavor. I know that you are planning a summit, and we want all of us to make it the biggest success possible. This is our neighborhood, this is our region, where we have interest, where our people have families and relatives, and this is something where we want to work together with. So you can count on our support, and we are very much looking forward to you taking over the realm of the European Union. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister Schallenberg. Minister Petriček.
Dear Anje, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really glad that I can be here again with 4 of my colleagues. It is almost a year since we started working together, cooperating in this format of Central 5. It has proved to be really beneficial for all countries, especially when it comes to the reaction to current crisis, to common challenges that all 5 countries are facing together. On COVID, I would like to thank Anje for the readiness to help my country and to Slovakia in this difficult situation, as well as I would like to appreciate the solidarity of Austria and other partners in the region. It is great to see that when it is needed, your friends in Europe can help you. On COVID, we also expressed our readiness to support any initiatives that might speed up the certification, registration of new vaccines. We have already 3 vaccines registered by the European Medical Authority. We want other to be ready to be used as soon as possible in order to speed up the whole process. As Alexander Schallenberg said, I believe the vaccination is a game changer in the current situation. It can certainly get us closer to normal way of life, and we all hope that during the spring the number of vaccines, number of jabs available will substantially increase, so that the population in Europe will reach the threshold for safer return to normality. At the same time, we called on learning the lessons from the last year when it comes to arrangements for freedom of movement in Europe. We have learned these lessons last spring when it comes to European cargo transport. We establish good rules for workers crossing the borders. And we called for, and I called for support of my colleagues to have an evidence-based approach when it comes to restrictions, when it comes to border measures that are limiting some of the key fundamental freedoms in Europe. At the same time, I would like to stress that it is important that we speed up harmonization of use of rapid tests, and we also expect that soon we will reach an agreement on COVID passes, COVID certificates in Europe in order to make the vaccination turn into practical benefits for citizens in Europe. And here I support the initiatives of Austria and Denmark on creating a European-wide COVID vaccination passes, because I believe this is a part of the solution. When it comes to Slovenian presidency, I was very happy to learn about the priorities because Czech Republic is also preparing for its presidency in the second half of 2022. I'm glad that we share a lot of common priorities with Slovenia, starting with the need for fast recovery from the economic crisis caused by the COVID-19. At the same time, I would like to stress that resilience will become certainly a buzzword for all of us. Resilience is something where we need to learn the lessons from the last year and improve it in terms of economic resilience, but also security resilience, because Europe needs to become stronger on that. At the same time, we share also the interest in external relations priorities of Slovenia, starting with the Western Balkans and the support to enlargement, which is traditional priority for all countries of the region. And certainly we would like to see that this year we will see more progress than the last year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Petriček. Minister Sijarto.
Thank you very much, first of all, to Anže, Minister Logar, to invite us to take part on this meeting of the 5 countries here. Central Europe, we live in a very strong interdependence, which is true under normal, let's say, peaceful circumstances as well. And now that we are facing tremendous challenges, this is even more true. So we have to commend the initiative of Minister Schallenberg, who was the godfather of this platform. He was the first one. He was the first one to convene us last year when we were first hit by this challenge, and it's great that we could uphold this format. Especially putting into consideration that because of the third wave, there are some further restrictive measures which have been implemented in the region. And it's very complicated that these measures take place in a coordinated way. So we minimize the negative impacts of those, especially on our economies. Because here we have dual task. We have to save the lives of the people, and we have to maintain the operation of our economies as well. Here we have a common understanding among ourselves that cargo traffic and commuters must be limited by the least possible restrictions and regulations. Hungary does have an annual trade volume of 32 billion euros with the 4 countries in this platform. So a coordinated way of implementing restrictive measures and measures which allow the cargo traffic and the commuters to cross borders under rational circumstances. I think it's important for all of us. Coordination is important, but we all know that the real solution to this crisis is the vaccine. We need vaccine. We need vaccines quickly. We need vaccines in a significant quantity, and we need safe vaccines. And what is safe? That's an important question. When it comes to the, let's say, COVID passport, which was mentioned by 2 of my colleagues before me, I think the question of safety is very important. Now, who can judge whether a vaccine is safe or not? According to European regulations, there are 2 ways. Either EMA can make such a judgment, or during emergency situations, national regulators can give emergency use authorizations. And challenging this right, or challenging the expertise of experts working for the national regulators, is not the way I think we should go forward in the upcoming weeks and months. We will never allow the right of the Hungarian national regulator to make such a judgment to be challenged. And of course, we will always respect the national decisions of other countries when it comes to their vaccination strategies, especially putting into consideration that a year ago, during last spring, the rights of national regulators were never challenged when judgments were made about whether medical devices were appropriate to be used in the European Union or not. You know that in Hungary we made our national decision that besides the centralized procurement of Brussels, we have looked for alternative sources when it comes to vaccines. We have bought altogether 7 million pieces of vaccine, 7 million shots of vaccine from Eastern sources, which make it possible for us to give vaccination to 3.5 million people more until the end of May, compared to if we had not made this decision of ours. The most important thing is not to make an issue of ideological nature of the vaccines. This is purely a professional question, and professional organizations should make the decisions based on that, as we would like to avoid a situation where the question where you get your vaccine from becomes a platform of political pressure. We understand Slovenia is taking over the presidency of the European Union under very challenging circumstances. We can just offer our help and assistance to Andrzej, to his team, to the Slovenian government when it comes to fighting against illegal migration, when it comes to pushing the agenda of enlargement forward, when it comes to putting emphasis on the agenda of digital transition and the regulatory questions to be made clear. The Slovenian government, Slovenia itself, can count on our full support. Obviously, once again, dear Andrzej, dear Minister, thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you for hosting us here so nicely.
Thank you, Minister Siarto. Minister Korčok.
Good afternoon. Let me start by thanking our host, our colleague, Foreign Minister of Slovenia, Andrzej Logar, thanking him for bringing us here to beautiful Slovenia. It was my pleasure to participate for the second time at this meeting of C5. As my colleagues, all of them have stressed, C5 has become a well-proven format for our cooperation. Cooperation matters a lot, and even more so in these difficult circumstances. It's good that we, 5 countries of Central Europe, are coordinating, are exchanging views how to overcome this difficult situation we all are facing in the context of pandemia. Having said that, I have to say that in Slovakia we are experiencing a very dire and dramatic situation with COVID. Over the last few weeks we've been unfortunately on top worldwide when it comes to number of those who died of COVID, and the situation remains very critical, which brings me again to thanking Andrzej Logar today, who offered assistance, and I'm using this opportunity to thank our colleagues and friends from Hungary and Austria who have provided assistance to us earlier. It's great to have this feeling of not being left alone. I believe it is also of utmost importance that in this dire pandemic situation where we all are doing our utmost to protect the health of our citizens, we too have to pay attention to economic consequences of the crisis. We'll be dealing with them for years to come. Therefore, it is important, while protecting our citizens and our territories from spreading the virus, that we are not becoming or making ourselves victims of individual protective measures, as we have seen them, for example, in the internal market on the borders with Germany, in particular at this moment when it comes to cargo transport. I appreciate that our German colleagues have adjusted at least the test and its validity for 72 hours, but we still expect that the logic of green lanes will be preserved in order, once again, not to cause a damage to internal market, which is suffering so much in this crisis. We have extensively discussed the recipe that seems to be the only way how to overcome the crisis, and that's the vaccination. Certainly at this moment we are all experiencing a shortage of vaccines. I hope it's going to be a temporary shortage. Yet at the same time I would like to call on all those outside of European Union who want to be on our market that they submit their application for a certification. The address through which a vaccine from outside should go to European Union is EMA, European Medicine Agency. It is important for the safety of our citizens, but it is also important to maintain a level playing field. All those who want to come must play against the same rules. This is specifically valid for Sputnik V, which is said to be a very effective vaccine. I'm not questioning that at all. It's said to be a safe vaccine as well, but those who should say that this is the case, it's not the politicians, it's EMA. That's the agency we've created exactly for that purpose. Number 3, Slovenia is going to take over presidency of the Council of European Union. I wish you well. I'll keep my fingers crossed for that. You can rely on Slovakia, whatever assistance you would need. We are here. The priorities that we've heard from Minister Logar are top, they're logical, they're excellent, because it's obvious we need more resilience. We need to speed up the digital transformation, migration, you can name it, all those issues. And I'm joining all my colleagues who spoke before me just to highlight the importance of our attention that we pay to the Western Balkans in terms of enlargement, but even beyond that, because in European Union, we've used to, over the last years, to pay attention to Western Balkans almost exclusively from the perspective of enlargement. This is not enough. This is our direct neighborhood, and this is a neighborhood which has a decisive impact on both prosperity and security of European Union. Therefore, we rely on you when it comes to discussing Western Balkans. And very last point, important for me, I'm inviting my colleagues to be my guests at the next C5 meeting, which I intend to organize in Bratislava very soon. Thank you, Anja, once again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are turning now to questions. Please, you can use micros on both sides, mention your name and the institution you are coming from, and you can put questions in either Slovenian or in English, since we have the translation. Also, to whom the question is addressed, please.
Nina Razboršek, Austrian Press Agency. I have 2 questions. The first one for Minister Schallenberg. Did you talk about deploying the Green Pass project in the C5 countries if it's not implemented across the entire EU soon enough? And for the other ministers, what is your stance on the Green Pass? Thank you.
Thank you. Minister Schallenberg.
Yeah, very briefly, I mean, we now have a proposal from the Commission, so the discussions are starting on expert level. We Austrians welcome this debate. We think we have to answer the question what happened with those people, the increasing number of people who either have recovered from COVID-19, have been vaccinated, or have been tested. And there should be, in our perspective, a common European response, because it's not enough for us to ensure the trip from Wien nach Wiener Neustadt, but to make sure that you have a cross-border kind of common approach. No, we haven't discussed that, because our approach would be, for the time being, waiting for the discussions in Brussels and having, if possible, a pan-European approach to this?
Thank you. Second part of the question, wants anyone from the ministers answer to that question?
I am with Alexander Schallenberg.
Well, I must say that Slovenia ardently supports each initiative. We look forward for the quick implementation. But as Alexander said, for the time being, we are waiting for the blueprint of the proposals. We know that some countries already, they are doing their separate agreements with some other countries. However, I think European Union, to be most effective, should work in unisono. And Slovenia was one of the initiative countries that supported this initiative at the beginning. So we subscribe to the letter that, let's say, proposed this way of post-COVID, let's say, revival of our economy.
It will be the first act of the Slovenian president, the 1st of June, 1st of July, sorry. We'll start a green pass.
Minister Petriček.
I would like to also support the idea, the initiative coming from Austria and from Denmark. It is an important instrument how to return back to some of the fundamental freedoms we have in the European Union. At the same time, it's important that it can help us to use the internal market to the best. At the moment, it is not only because of tourists not capable of traveling, it is largely because neither the business people cannot travel within the Europe. And it is preferred option. If there is agreement on the European level, that would be great. If it is not possible in upcoming weeks and months, then we are ready to discuss with the partners that are ready to go on with the idea, because we need to start first with the neighbors, because it's logical that we introduce the similar approach to vaccination and how it is reflected in the measures for quarantines, for traveling and so on. At the same time, we would like to also see that we come up soon with a proper digital answer to it, how we can recognize digital certificates from one country in another country.
Thank you, Minister Siarto.
Well, we support the principle that those who have recovered or who have already been vaccinated enjoy some more freedom. Let's put it this way. We have started to work on a national level on a system of certificates which can be used within the country after being vaccinated or being recovered. We definitely support that there should be a European solution, but this European solution should not be another platform for putting pressure on each other, and should not be a platform to make up an issue of ideology when it comes to the vaccines.
Thank you very much. Next question. Please, next question.
No questions.
No other questions? Thank you. Then with this, the press conference is concluded. Thank you very much. Thank you also to all the ministers, and I wish you a nice and sunny afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.